Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Meredith, one of the PFAFF educators. I'm really excited for you to join me today. We are going to be going through all things denim and embellishing them for the fall. So get your denim jackets out, some jeans, things like that. And we are going to go through, I'm hoping to give you lots of inspiration that you can take away and embellish and elevate your fall garments. So first things first, let me just, while people come in and get settled, I want to shout out to Amy and Ryan in the background. They're the ones helping me today. This would not be possible without them. And so if you have questions or comments or anything like that, you can type them in the chat and they will send them to me. If I don't know the answer or Amy or Ryan doesn't know it, we will find out for you. And then we'll come back and respond to you later with those answers. We don't ask for any personal information. So it's been a while. It's been really good. We haven't had anybody coming in, sending links and things like that, knock on wood. So, but we don't ask for any personal information or anything like that. So please don't click on any links like that. But we're going to get going. I'm going to start first with, we're going to do yarn couching with embroidery and then free motion. And then we're also going to do felting. And there's so many different ways you can do felting. So I'm going to show you quite a few different ways to do felting as well. But we're going to start out with yarn couching today. So there is the yarn couching foot set. And what comes in this foot set is these little guys right here. And what they do is they hook. If you look on the back side of your machine, underneath your handle, it's, if you have one of the 8-thread spool racks, it's where it hooks in right there. You'll see these little openings for that. These guys go right on the back, and then your yarn feeds through there and comes down and goes through the foot, which I'm going to show you how to do that too. It also comes with 2 different feet. There's one with I'm going to try and hold them together here. There's one with 1 dot by my thumb and then one with 2 dots. And it's just the size. So the one with the 1 dot over here is a little bit smaller hole than the one over here. So just depending on how thick your yarn is, I'm just using today like regular craft type yarn. But if you're using something thicker or thinner, there's different options. The type of yarn you want to use is something that's loosely woven and not tight. So I have tried to do this with chenille yarn, and it's a hit or miss with chenille. If you're willing to try it, sometimes it works. Like I've got a sample I'm going to show you, and it worked a little bit on there, but it took some finagling to get it to work. And then also what comes with it is this little threader. So it's got a little, you can't see, it's got a little like plastic looper, and this is how you, and then a little plastic needle, and this is how you thread the yarn into one of those 2 presser feet I just showed you. So that's what we're going to start with first. I'm going to switch my camera here so y'all can see. I'm going to thread it so y'all can see. So I'm going to take, I've already got my yarn back here. I'm going to hook on really quick. And I unfortunately don't have a camera in the back to show you, but I'm going to hook these guys on really quick. I took them off so that I could show you. So there's 2 little notches, and I mean, there's only 2 holes for it, so you can't get it wrong. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my yarn again and just loop it through those 2 back there so that it hangs. So you can see it now that it's hanging from the back over here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of my yarn right here, just feed it through the little looper. And then I'm using the bigger yarn couching foot today. So the one with the 2 dots on it. I'm trying to get it so y'all can see it right there. And then what you do is you take the gray end of that little threader and just thread it through the top, through the bottom, just like that. And then we're going to hook it on to our machine. So the tail is underneath and in the back. And I leave a long tail. The reason I leave a long tail is once I'm done, I will tie it. So I'll show you one that I've done. I will tie it in the back with another one, or tie it into a little knot so that it doesn't come out. I mean, it won't come out, but that's just, it's a little security thing for me. So you can tell on the back side of this jacket, I've got a lot of the little knots there. So we're going to come back over here. So we've got this all set up here. We are going to start first, and then you want to have, real quick, you want to have like a good little slack of this over here, not on the side closest. So you've got the 2 little hooks in the back underneath the handle. You want to have some slack of thread on the side that's closest to the screen, not the side closest to the needle, if that makes sense. So you see how now that it's hanging up and it's not just laying down flat like that, but you want to have enough slack over on the other side so that it doesn't pull tension or anything like that. For this design, I'm using embroidery thread. So I have embroidery thread in the top and bottom, and I have it matching my yarn as close as possible. Let me show you. I'm going to add a screen over here. So I love, today I'm working on the creative icon too. I love that I can find tons of designs. All of the My Sew Net library designs you can find directly on your machine. So I'm first connected to my Wi-Fi up here in the top corner, and then right beside that is a little cloud. You also want to be connected to your My Sew Net enabled machine. So, or your My Sew Net enabled, or your My Sew Net account. Mixing them all up. The creative icon too is a My Sew Net enabled machine, but I'm connected to my My Sew Net account. And it's the same account login that you use on your computer if you're using the software or getting designs from the library on the software and sending them to the machine or to your software. So I'm connected there as well. And right over here, you have the little flower with the little globe beside it. We're going to click on that. And then I'm going to search. You can search for anything you want. So today we're going to search yarn. I've got this camera right in front of my keyboard over here. So bear with me. I'm working around it. And it already came up with two things. So there's the yarn attachment and then there's the yarn couching. That's what we want to do for today. And look at all of these. So many designs. They may not specifically have yarn in them as their design, but they may have, so like I know that I saw like a cat with a yarn ball or something like that. So they have yarn in it in some way in that way. But within here, you're going to be able to find yarn couching designs. I already have one pulled up for today that I've got right here. And what I did was I sent that from my machine. I had already had them all pulled up. And I'm going to be using, I'm going to switch, I can show you all here. I'm using a metal hoop. These things that I'm showing today with felting and with yarn couching, I strongly suggest using a metal hoop. You don't have to, but it definitely makes your life a lot easier. It's not difficult to hoop denim. Like I've got some that's already hooped, but it's a lot easier. So like this one, I've actually hooped the denim, but it's so easy just to lay it on top of your magnetic hoop and just plop it down. So easy like that. So I'm using my magnetic hoops for some of what I'm showing y'all today. So if you don't have them and you're looking for a reason for it, especially with your embellishing a denim jacket or jeans that you're going to open up the leg on, I strongly suggest getting a metal hoop because then you can just plop it all down where you need it. So let's switch back over here. We are going to hit go on my screen. And all of this pops up here. What I love about this, we're not going to use it for this particular one, but you can base around design. I love that you can pick that right on the screen before you even get there. We're going to connect our hoop and hit OK. So I have the 200 by 200 metal hoop on today. So there's nothing else I'm going to show you on my screen for right now on my machine screen. So I'm going to take that off so that y'all can see this full size over here. There you go. Again, I've got my tail over here. And we are just going to hit start. Oh, real quick. I forgot one thing. We're going to back out. Let me cut this really quick. Amy, you and I have talked about this. Yep. Do you select? And I'm getting ahead of myself, y'all. Somebody caught it or Amy caught me on it. So let me share this screen with you one more time. We're going to back out to our embroidery design mode. We are using, this is a free float. This is a floating foot. Any foot like this that does not have a spring or sit on the needle bar that goes up and down. So like this is the normal embroidery foot right here. And how this bar sits on the needle bar, it makes it go up and down. So that makes it a spring foot. When it's flat like this and it's not going up and down, then it's a floating foot. So we need to tell our machine that that's what we're doing. So I'm going to go back over here to stitch. And then within here, right here, it already has dynamic spring foot free motion selected, but I want the free floating one. There is a huge difference in this, guys. I want to stress this a lot. The machine does a different motion when it's embroidering if you have floating versus spring. So it's very important to have either one selected depending on what foot you're using. So make sure you switch to your free floating foot as well. Thank you, Amy, for that reminder as well. So I've got that selected, and we're going to hit OK. Now, there we go. Now we are good to go. So we're going to put this guy back on here. Let's scoot him back out a little bit. Hit OK. And see, this is why we don't want all of this excess. Let me take this one off again here. This is why we don't want all this excess, because it doesn't hang up how it's supposed to. So I'm going to pull this so that it's hanging up like that. And then we're going to hit start. My thread there. There it goes. Be all right. So there you go. I'll get that thread out there in a minute. But really easy. So you just want to make sure that your yarn is always up at this angle upward right here, because what it does is if it's laying flat, it won't, it may not get caught. This yarn is thick enough that it will, but it just depends on the direction. Sometimes, like if you see right here, it didn't miss it, but it's off more to the side. So having that yarn upward really makes a difference. Someone mentioned that she has a metal hoop and has never used it. Oh, definitely. Here, I'm sure y'all would rather watch this than me. You definitely want to have some metal hoops. There are 4 different metal hoops, I believe, right now, Amy. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is a 120 by 120, a 240 by 150, a 200 by 200, and then a 260 by 260. Is that all of them? Did I name them all right? I'm trying to make sure I got them all named right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy. I'm sorry, not a 100 by 100, not a 120. I apologize. 100 by 100, a 240 by 150, a 200 by 200, and a 260 by 200. So lots of options. This one I have on here is a 200 by 200. So they're definitely great to use. So many different options when you're using them. Another person asked, what stabilizer am I using? I'm using Tearaway. So let's talk about stabilizer real quick while this embroider's out. Denim is not, denim can be stretchy. Denim for the most part is not stretchy. So I suggest when you don't have stretchy fabric, you can use a Tearaway. You can use a non-permanent stabilizer. So I'm just using Tearaway for this right now. I've got something I'm going to be showing you in a minute that I'm actually using. I did do an iron-on it, but it was really just for just to make me feel that it was going to be secure when I was doing free motion. So this is just about done here. I'm actually going to stop this real quick and cut this little thread that I looped in. Cut this guy. There we go. Finish him. But I love it, and it adds such great dimension to your garment. So you could add this down the sleeve of a denim jacket. You could undo the sleeve of a denim jacket. You could add it on the back side. You could add it down the side of a denim pants. So many different options. And once this is done, I'm going to make sure I've got a long tail here. Lots of stops in this design. There we go. So let me pull this off and I'll show you over here. So I've got my long tails here, and I'm going to take a large eye needle. And what I do is I take a piece of like masking tape and what's the clear tape called? That's not masking tape. Clear tape. I take the clear tape that you would use on a present, and I wrap around the end of it, cut it at an angle, and then thread it through that wide eye needle. And then I just feed my yarn to the back. And since these two like end and start in the same spot, I would actually just probably tie them in a little knot in the back, just to keep them from coming back through the front. Is there a specific couching design, or could you do any design with yarn couching? So it sort of depends. There are specific yarn couching designs that were made for yarn couching. And the reason for that is, let me show you my screen on my machine again, and you can sort of tell. So if you look closely, I'm going to try and get as close as I can. You notice that these designs are not like a straight stitch. It looks like sort of like a zigzag a little bit there. what that does and why it's helpful with yarn is it sort of goes back and forth so that it's not always, if your yarn is more to one side or the other of the foot, it's always going to catch it. So you definitely could try like a running stitch design with yarn couching. I have not specifically done that, Amy. I don't know if you've done a running stitch design yarn couching, but I don't see why you couldn't try it, because it's just as long as it catches your yarn. So here's the end of that one. Let me take this guy off. So any questions on this before we switch to my favorite part of yarn couching, free motion yarn couching? So this is fun. Trust me, this is fun. I love this. I want to show you another thing too. There is lace cutwork designs that have yarn couching on top of them. So you don't even have to decide. Like I love this, and it brings so much dimension, and I really want to do this. I've been doing some samples, and I really want to do this on the back of a jacket. But there's this one right here, and it's lace cut work. So it did all the cut work, and then it did the yarn on top of it, y'all. Can you see this on the back of a denim jacket? And you can piece a bunch of them together. There's bigger sizes also. This is a smaller one. So having that on the back of a denim jacket, I think would be really cool. Or even on the bottom of your jeans, it would sort of show through a little bit. I just love that. I think that's a really cool. So it did the cut work and embroidery first, and then it did the yarn couching over top of it. So another good idea. Could not see where to attach the. Yes. Yes. So I will try and do a photo later of where to attach the pieces in the back. Actually, if y'all hold on, I'm going off script here. Y'all hang tight for me. Let me switch over here. I'm going to that. Oh, right there. Sorry. So right back here, this is where they connect. I forgot when I'm on my one camera, you can't hear me. So right here, there's these little holes right here, and that's where they connect in. I'm looking at it from my camera view. So right there. And then your yarn just comes across in them. Really easy. Sorry about that. I forgot that when I'm on, hold on, hold your breath, y'all. I forgot when I'm just on my machine view, you can't hear me. So let me back this back over here. Getting all the behind the scenes views today. All right. Does that help? Hopefully that was helpful. Good. Okay. So any other questions on embroidered yarn couching, anything like that? But there's definitely lots of designs out there on the studio, and even in your machine, you can find some as well. So I'm going to switch to free motion. I had this idea like over a year ago. I saw this new fabric line that came out last year, and I was like, oh, I want to do something like that, but with free motion yarn couching. So I made my little one. I have a little daughter. She's 5. I made her this little denim jacket, and I did yarn couching all over it. Free motion, the eyes and everything. This is all yarn. And then here's the chenille. Remember me mentioning the chenille? I was like, I'm going to make this chenille work because I just think it feels really cool. And I liked the color. I couldn't find that color in the regular yarn. So we're going to do some free motion yarn couching. So I mentioned also for stabilizer, for this one, I actually did an iron-on. Excuse this mess back here. You can tell I used whatever bobbins I had left and whatnot. But I did add stabilizer to it. I wasn't sure how smoothly it would move. I didn't want my denim jacket to like sort of lift up on me as I was doing free motion. So having that iron-on stabilizer, it's just a no-show mesh is what I use, the iron-on black no-show mesh. So not anything heavy. I don't think it's necessary to have it, but I just did it just for peace of mind, really. So thank you. I love it too. She keeps wanting to wear it, y'all. I live in Texas. It's hot here right now still. It's first day of fall's on Saturday, and it's supposed to be like 97. She keeps wanting to wear it, and I'm like, no, sister, it's too hot. It's too hot outside, but soon. So hopefully she'll get to enjoy it soon. So when I started doing this a while ago, I went and bought some denim from the craft store, and just cut out pieces of it. And then I just did free motion things on it. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm just going to show you a couple how I move things around, what it looks like. Definitely practice. I practiced on this before I did it on her denim jacket. If you're doing something free motion like that, definitely try it out before you do it on your garment, just in case it doesn't work out. So let's switch over here. And I'm going to rethread because I cut my tail over here a minute ago. And I'm going to give myself a bunch of slack here. I don't have a lot. It's getting to the end, so my yarn is back there. I'm going to hook it on this next one in the back. Bring it down. I'm going to take that foot off again. Come on. And just rethread my yarn. I used, when I sewed this onto her jacket, I think I used regular cotton or like all-purpose thread, but you can definitely use embroidery thread. I'm going to use that today since that's what I already have on my machine. But again, just a matching, here's what I used originally, sewing thread, just something to match. So before I did this, again, like I said, I had a full piece of denim. I've fused some stabilizer onto the back of this just because I didn't want it doing this. And I feel like when you have that stabilizer, it's less likely to do that. So that was my reason for doing that. So to start out here, I'm going to show you this other screen too, because we need to set this up. I'm still in embroidery mode. So let's back out here. We are going to go to sewing mode up here up at the top. I'll switch here. And I actually already have it set for free motion. So down here, you'll see this down here, it says free motion. You have these different options. So if I was using this foot to do free motion, if I was just sewing free motion back and forth all around, you want that dynamic spring foot. But for what we're doing today, I want the sensormatic foot, which is just free motion floating. So it's not the spring. So again, I'm using that same yarn pouching, but I've got sensormatic selected. Just like that. And I just have a straight stitch selected. I don't have anything special or anything like that, just a straight stitch. And what I'm going to do, there's a couple different things. When I do free motion, I actually don't use my foot pedal. I feel like I learned when I learned free motion a long time ago, just doing it sewing, that if you are using your presser foot, your speed can go faster or slower. And so if you're not doing a steady speed with your presser foot, it could, and then you're moving at a different speed, it sort of messes up that flow of good tension and stitches and whatnot. So what I do is I do the start stop button, but I slow my machine down to about midway. If you're just starting out, I would definitely start out at a lower speed and then sort of work your way up. But the slower your machine, your needle's going, the slower you want to move. The faster it's going, the faster, obviously. But when you're using your foot pedal, you can sort of have that where it's not a constant speed. It's sort of an up and down. So that's why I do it that way. Could you add extra stabilizer when using stretch denim? Yes, of course. You could even do fusible like I have here, and then even a sticky back tearaway so that you just take that tearaway off afterwards. That way you don't have that bulk still there. So you only have one. That would be another option. Amy, if you've got any other suggestions, you could just do a regular tearaway, but I think having the fusible and then a sticky back tearaway that you just take off when you're done would be fine as well. So we're going to start over here, and I'm going to slow my machine down just to about midway. Got that over here on my screen. I'll have my screen up here to show you. Okay. And then we're going to hit this start stop button right here. Amy said that's exactly what she would do. Thank you. It's always nice to have that confirmation from people. So just like that. And you just move. And if you want to go over, you can definitely go over what you already have. If you have a little hole or something like that. But if you do free motion quilting, this is going to be right up your alley. You are going to be a pro at this. I am not, we're going to stop there. I am not a pro at free motion, that smooth motion quilting. But if you are, this is definitely something you want to try because you'll already be successful with it. But let me show you back over here. Look, super easy, and it's very forgiving too with the yarn. So right here, you can see that, I don't know if you can tell right there, the stitches right here. And this is another reason why you want to make sure that yarn is all the way up at this angle, because sometimes depending on what direction you're going as well, will affect if it catches it or not. So that's why I sometimes go back over what I did. Somebody asked, what icon did you tap to change the presser foot to get the free motion options? Yep, I'll show you that one more time here. So right here on my screen at the bottom, can y'all see this down here? Oh, you probably can't because that creative icons word is right there in the way. This one right down here, this free motion, this icon is what I touched. And that's where you get all of that. I apologize if y'all didn't see that the first time. I didn't notice that the creative icon name was in the way. So does that answer that question? Let me take this one off here. We're going to come back over here. So again, just get some fabric. I'm going to cut this one here and start over here. Get some denim, practice, play with it. I'm going to cut that short there. And just do lots of things. So this is how I started out my flower that I did. I started out with a circle in the middle, and I just filled it in. So we're going to hit start again. And I just filled it in. And all I did was I just went back and forth with these little loops. And if it wasn't filled in a spot, then I went back over it. I want to get this guy out of the way over here. And once I was done doing my, I'm not going to do this whole circle today, just for time's sake, but once I was done, I went through and I outlined it. So I just followed around my circle, just like that. So super easy, very fun. It's kind of relaxing too. Oh, I don't know why I cut it there. Now I'm going to have to rethread it. Sorry, y'all. So definitely give that a try. Let me know if you have done that before, what you've done with it. I'd love to be inspired to make something else too. So any questions on free motion, yarn, sewing, anything like that? I love it. I think it's kind of relaxing too in a way, to just be doing that all over the place. So there's my backside. All right. So if there's not any questions on that, we are going to switch to, I thought there was one more thing. I think I showed you all the things with that. So yarn couching. The next thing we're going to switch to is felting. And this is fun too. These are equally fun, I feel like. If you've ever done felting before, it's really fun just to watch. It's not even actually sewing. It's just pounding a needle. So I know a lot of people do felting with a felting needle through, like you've got these little spiky things and you do felting that way, but you can actually do felting on your machine. There are specific felting designs you can use, as well as free motion ones, ones that you can do on denim, things like that. But what comes in your felting kit are these little needles, and these needles are special because they have little barbs on them. So you don't actually put thread when you're doing felting. There are some designs with felting where you would add thread and you just switch your needles back out. But they have these little, let me see if I can get it to show. If it'll focus. Come on. No, but there's these little barbs if you've got a little felting one. And so when it goes in and out, it catches it and it forces the roving, the denim, the yarn, whatever it is you're using through it. What needle did you use for yarn couching? So I just had my embroidery needle still in from when I did embroidery. And with free motion, I feel like it could be quilting or embroidery as well, but I just used a 90 embroidery needle for it. So you get these pack of needles, and you can get more of them from your local store as well. You get these with it. You get this little plate cover, and I'm going to show you how to put that on in a minute. You get this little guard. It's like a little safety guard. And then you also get this little cup cap thing, and this is what's going to go in our bobbin case. So let me switch over here. Has anybody done felting before? I would love to, if you can, share your pictures that you've done of felting. I just think it's so cool. So we're going to take that little cup and we're going to put it just in our bobbin case. This is to trick your machine into thinking that that it has a full bobbin in there. So you won't get that air of, hey, you need to change your bobbin thread, things like that. So we're going to put that in there first. I'm going to take this guy off. I can get him off. Come on. Here. I got to take this whole ankle off anyway. We're going to take the whole ankle off here. And we are going to put on this little guard right here. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to change my needle. So I believe it also comes with, let me find it really quick. I forgot one other little tool because I didn't have it sitting down. The felting kit also, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, comes with one of these little guys, the little hump jumper, and you have them with your machines as well. But what makes it so special for this is it has this little opening for your needle right here to take your needle out, in and out easily. So we're going to put that right there, unscrew our needle just a little bit, and there it goes like that. But what makes it extra special is it's not just a hole to hold your felting needle. I'm getting my felting needle out, bear with me. Is that it has a flat side to it. So you know when you put your needles back in, you want that flat side to the back. It does not have the clearance plate. Okay, but your machine comes with a clearance plate, so that's all right. So we are going to put it right in there, and it's got that flat back on it so that we're putting that needle, that felting needle or your regular needle, in the right way. And when you push it all the way up, you know that it's all the way in where it's supposed to be, just like that. That's easier to do when you don't have this little guard on. So you can do it with it on, but it's easier to do that way. Let me get my screw. We're going to screw him back on here. Come on. And just finger tight. We're not going to do this super tight, just like that. And we're also going to put this little plate on. Oh, I'd love to see it, Amy, if you want to share pictures. It has a little plate that hooks into these two holes here, and then that's the opening where the needle is going to go through. So just like that. I can see it. Am I doing it backwards? Oh, might be because I'm doing it backwards. There we go. Come on. There we go. And it just snaps into place just like that, so that when it goes down, it's got the little hole right there. Let me see. Jerry Lynn said, I took a class that taught felting. I just made a few designs for practice, but I'd like to get some ideas of where it can be used. Yes, definitely. I'm going to show you a few ideas here in just a second, or a few suggestions on how you could use it as well. So we've got that all set up here. We don't need our thread, so we're going to take our thread out, because with felting, we're just using the needle and wool roving. I'm going to switch back over here so y'all can see. I'm going to switch back to embroidery mode. And we're going to get rid of this design. And I already have my Sonnet pulled up over here with a design. So we're going to send it to the machine. So you'll see it pop up here in just a second. There it goes. Should be right there. So there's my felting design. And again, you can find those felting designs. Let me show you. I'll show you on the screen again here. You can find felting designs in the My Sonnet Studio, the same ones that I'm using here, by searching felting. Got to go around my camera. Get the E. Hold on. There it is, felting. And these are all felting designs in here. So many to choose from. Lots in there. So check those out. So I have hooped over here. We are using let me double check that I've got, no, not that one, this one. I'm using the 120 by 120 hoop, which is what I have here. And I just have denim in here. So when you're doing felting, you don't need stabilizer. So I just have a piece of denim hooped right here. And again, this is when, I've got my metal hoops I'm using for something else in a few minutes. So that's why I don't have it for this one. But if you have the 100 by 100 or any of the metal hoops, definitely use the metal hoop. It's great. You just slap on the magnets and there it is. It's what's upside down. Oh, yes. I'm like, what's hooped upside down, Amy? She says, is it hooped upside down? Here's the key point with felting. When you are doing felting, you're doing it on the back side of your fabric so that it shows through on the right side. I'm getting ahead of myself, Amy, and I'm going to forget the most important things again. So you want your fabric on the wrong side, and you can do this with felt as well. There's some really cool snowflake designs that I want to do on felt. So no matter what it is, when you do a felting design, you want it on the wrong side of the fabric so that when it's done, it shows through on the front side. So that's why it's hooped backwards the way it is. So good catch, Amy. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we've got the 120 by 120 selected, and I'm going to hit go over here. Come on, I'm working around my camera bar. I apologize. And we are going to switch to, again, we want the floating here. So this is still right here. There we go. Hook on our hoop. And we're going to hit start. So this is basic felting right here. All I have is denim or felt, whatever it is. I don't have anything extra, nothing like that. I just have basic, it's just felting. But I'm going to show you, because there's really hard to see on the back side. There's really not much to see, so I hope you don't mind. I'm going to show you some things as we do this. There's nothing else to it, but I'm going to show you different ways to add it and elevate it a little bit more. So I have one that's already done. So this one right here, and see, you can't even tell. Look at this. Do you see this design that's in here? It's really hard to tell, but watch, get ready. Look at this. This is what it's like. See? So cool. And this is the right side. And it gives it some dimension also. It's raised up a little bit. It feels really nice. So this would be really cool also down the sleeve of a jacket or down the sleeve or the leg of a pant. So neat right here. So this is just basic felting with nothing else on it. So I've already done that, and really, like I said, you can't even really tell. You can see a little bit of the outline there. But what this needle is doing is it's basically just pounding, reinforcing through different designs, the denim through to the front side, and that's what gives it that look there. Can't wait to use felting to stop. Well, good. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad you learned something new. It's definitely been around a long time, and it's good to be reminded of it sometimes. So that's one way. While this goes, I'm going to show you something else you can do. I could not decide. I did this a little while ago. I could not decide if I liked it one way or the other. And I like to practice designs before I actually, especially, I mentioned this, if you're doing it on a garment, I like to practice it beforehand. So I've got one here. Look at this butterfly. Again, there's nothing else on it. I didn't put anything behind it. It's just through the denim. But let me show you the other side. The other side, I use wool roving. Look at that. It makes such a difference. I think it's really neat, the different fibers that you can add to enhance a design like this. So cool. You couldn't choose like that. Let me show you what the wrong side looks like. So this is what it looks like. So this is the side that would be up on the machine as you're going. So it stays in there when it's done. I cut closely around it, and then I just left it. You could definitely put a piece of fusible whisper web mesh or no-show mesh on top of it if you didn't want that rubbing on your skin or you were worried about it coming out. But I've had no issues with it. And I just think it looks so neat. Does felting on the denim stay? Yes, it does, because it's kind of like if you were to take like a knife or a razor blade and you would scratch at denim, it's going to leave an imprint on the other side. That's not going to go away. It's going to stay there. It's a permanent imprint in it. So I think this would be also so neat in full color or just in the with the denim on the back side of the jacket. I love it. So this guy's almost done over here. I'm going to switch over here so y'all can watch this. And then I've got a few other ways I want to show you as well next. Let's see how much longer it is. Just a few minutes longer on this guy. Do you guys have any questions? Any feedback? Also, while I've got you, we are coming into the new year soon. It's crazy to think that we're already halfway through September. But we are going to be working on the Facebook Live topics for all of 2024 soon. It's crazy, 2024. So if you have suggestions or things that we've done in the past that you would like to see again, let us know. We can add those to the list or see how we can get it to fit in at a good time throughout the year. So definitely leave your suggestions of what you would like to see or learn more about for the new year. It'll be me and all the other educators that you see on a regular basis doing that. So we'd love to have your feedback on that. Let's see here. Let's switch over here. Yes, I'm actually going to get to what I used for the butterfly here in just a second. It was sort of like a little teaser for what I'm going to show you here in a minute. Let me let this guy finish. We're about at a minute left. almost done. I'll show you over here so you can see it too. Does the wool yarn used with felting shrink in the wash? That's a great question. Amy, I haven't washed that one yet. Do you have any experience with it? I hate to say no when it might. I don't think it would shrink a ton if it did, but let me know, Amy, what you think, because it's on the denim. And if you've already washed the denim, break that up with me, Amy. Let me know what you think. So let me show you. Let me switch over here. Let me show you what this looks like. So here's the side you just saw right here. And you can see a little bit. I'm trying to get it. Oh, I just pulled my needle out over there too. You can see that it's got a little bit of the outline. Let me see if I can back this up a little bit there. You can see the outline there, but let's look at the front. Look at that. That's the front side. That's what it just did. How neat is that? So neat. And you can definitely do this twice. So you can go over it. If you want it to be more defined, definitely go over it twice. I'm actually going to use this same design here in a second, but we're going to add some color to it. Let's see what Amy said. Let's see. Amy says she said she was afraid it would shrink as well. So I think with this one, I think it would be okay, only because if it does shrink, it's already pounded in the front in here. I think it would be okay. Y'all are actually going to challenge me. I'm going to wash this today. Today's laundry day at my house. I'm going to wash this and I will come back and leave in the comments what it looks like. I'll take a picture before and a picture after. I'm going to test it out and we're going to see. Are there any special machine settings? Nope. No extra special machine settings. Yeah, because you're not using an embroidery needle or anything like that. The life expectancy of these needles, well, I haven't broken one yet, but I actually just did when I was pulling that one around there. I would say also the life expectancy of these should be about 8 hours. So the one that I used on that butterfly, that was a way long, I'm going to catch this guy here. That design took me probably about 10 hours to do, that butterfly. And I didn't use that needle again afterwards. I was like, I'm done with this. I think it's had its life worth used. So I think it's just at your discretion is what I would say on the life expectancy of them. They are a lot thinner. Let me show you here. They are a lot thinner than a regular needle. So like the one I just had break off, I'm going to hold one side by side for you to see. They are a lot thinner. So just keep that in mind. Is it better if the denim has a high contrast right and a wrong side? Not necessarily. I've seen it. I don't have any samples like that, but I've seen it done on a lighter denim and it's shown through just as fine. But if you don't like the high contrast difference of it, you can always do the design twice. So here's this design here, and I'm actually going to go over it again with felt on it next. So let me put this new needle back in here really quick. Switch so you can watch me. Let me use my tool. It's a lot easier. Make sure it gets all the way up in there, and then put our guard back on. And again, just finger tight, not super tight. So I could have done this to begin with. Before I even started stitching out this design, I could have put felt on the top side of it right here, like I'm about to do, and just done the design this way. But I wanted you to see the difference in it. So I've done it once already, and now I'm going to do it with felt. So we're going to do the same design again, but with felt on it. And you will see that that blue is going to show through. So while that goes, I'm going to switch back over here. Take this off. A couple questions. Let's see. Does the couch input work on older machines? Amy, can you pull up for me which ones? So the one that I have is for J, which is for the Epic, or not the Epic, wrong brand. It's for the Icon. So Amy, let me know if there's, I want to say that there might be, because it has to do with the clips in the back. The clips in the back have different connectors. Let me know. And if you know, Amy, if you can put the part numbers in the chat, if that's what they would like for the other machines. But if you want to be specific with your machine, we can also look up if it is compatible with your machine as well. Next question. The set will work on Series J and L machines. Yes, correct. Oh, Amy answered it for me. I'm sorry. I think that goes with that question. I'm sorry. Can we use different sewing machine stitches to do felting? So with felting, I haven't ever done free motion felting or anything like that, or done sewing felting. I've only done embroidery and then freestanding felting. That's a good question. I'm gonna try that though. That's a good question. Amy, do you know the different sewing machine stitches to do felting? I don't see. Yes, so let me show you here. When you add the wool roving or the felt, it's on the wrong side. So I'm still on the wrong side of my denim here, and you add it to the wrong side. That's what the butterfly was. Let me show you the butterfly again. The butterfly, this is all on the wrong side. So this is the wrong side, and I've got my wool roving, which I'm going to show you here again in a minute, on the wrong side as well, so that when it's through on the right side, you only see where it felted through. So that's that. Did I answer that question? We are going to switch once this guy's done. If you've got any other questions, I've got about 3 minutes left on this design. So once it's done, you can cut closely around the felt, and that's what I did here, is I just cut close around it and cut off all the excess that goes around it. Do you have to use full felt? So the felt I have is just craft felt from your local craft store. That's what I'm using here. You can also use fleece. I have used fleece as my color or my back and done it that way. So I think that would be really cool. Also, if you had a printed fleece and you had a really good fill design felting, you would see the print. That's really cool. Actually, now I'm inspiring myself, y'all. I want to try that now too. Like a leopard print fleece or something like that, an animal print, and then have it pound through on a solid, not as solid, but a very filled felting design. I think that would be really cool. But you can use, I'm just, like I said, I'm using craft felt. I have wool roving, which I'm going to show y'all next. You can get this from your local craft store as well. That's what I've got in here. Save your scraps. Save your scraps, save your scraps. There's not a scrap that's too small, because what you can do is you can take all of those scraps and layer them so that it gives you, I mean, you can do it with just 1 or 2 colors. You can do it with a rainbow of colors, and it'll give you such a cool effect as well. So this guy's almost done, about another minute and a half or so. Any other questions? Yes, I'm using designs that are specifically created for felting. So, but I will say, I don't know if this is politically correct in the felting world. I actually used a pattern fill design, a Hello Fall, once, and I did felting. I did it on the wrong side, and it was just it said Hello Fall and it had a leaves, but it was a filled design, and it worked just fine to do felting. You don't have to tell your machine you're doing felting versus embroidery. It doesn't know the difference. So, okay, good point, Amy. Good point. That makes sense. The answer to doing sewing machine stitches with felting is the answer is no, because you do have that single hole plate that went in there, so you can't do a side-to-side decorative stitch or anything like that. Good point, Amy. But yes, I did a filled embroidery design felting, and it turned out really cute. And I actually ended up doing it on canvas and put it on like a little canvas picture, said hello fall, and did the colors, and it just pounded the colors. So it was really neat. Please repeat that you are not using, yes, so I'm not using any thread when I'm felting. You have a needle that has a bunch of barbs on it, and this needle does not have an opening for thread. It's just a needle with barbs. So if you're familiar with felting, they're not actually needles with embroidery. So here's my back side again. And so I can cut close around this felt, but look at this. There's the blue now. You could tell before it was more of like this color, and look at it now. So neat, huh? So definitely lots of options. You can use felt, you can use wool roving, you can use yarn. Amy said that she has used like scraps of fabric. So again, like I mentioned with fleece, you could do a printed fleece, and that would be really cool as well. But we're going to switch to wool roving. So wool roving here, that's what all this stuff is. It's just rolled up in a little ball, and you open it. And what wool roving is it's basically the stuff before you get to a yarn. It's not spun into yarn is basically what wool roving is. So I've got over here, there are also, so there's the felting designs like this that are embroidery, but then there's also freestanding felting designs. So there's leaves and flowers and bows and just all types of different designs. But to do that, you need a water-soluble stabilizer. So really quick, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to pull up my freestanding design for y'all. Let me pull it up here. I'm going to send it to my machine. Let me get rid of this guy first. And send this one over. Oh, hold on. There it goes. There it is. So there's the bow. And this is actually a felting design, freestanding design. And what I've got here, I'm actually going to switch over here. I think it would be best to show you over here. Get all my little samples out of the way here. This is my catch-all for the day. So I've got 2 pieces of water-soluble stabilizer right here. And then I've got my wool roving. What I'm going to do, again, metal hoop. Metal hoop. If you don't have a metal hoop, here's another reason of why you need a metal hoop. So I've got my 1 layer of stabilizer, then a bunch of wool roving, and you can mix and match colors. You can even use yarn. I've done felting with yarn where you just layer it all back and forth, and it does the same effect. Any type of fiber is great to use. Then you're going to take another piece of water-soluble stabilizer, put it on top, and we are going to lay this down flat. Let me get the magnets from my other hoop I had a minute ago. There they are. And I just wanted to mention this little tip. So you never want to store your metal hoops with your magnets on this front, on this felt, because it will wear this felt off. So what I do is I actually store my magnets on the back side. So just a little, that way you don't lose them, but they're not messing up the felt either. So just like that. So I've got my little wool roving sandwich here. Again, water-soluble stabilizer, your fiber, whether that's wool roving, yarn, or felt, or anything like that you can use. And then I've got another layer of water-soluble stabilizer. So, nope, that was it. Let's switch over here. We're going to hit go. And I didn't change anything. I still have my felting needle. I've got my guard. No thread, nothing like that. We're going to hit start. There it goes. Yes, so again, there's not really much to see while this does this. Let's see how long this is going to take. It says it's going to take about 27 minutes. I know we don't have a lot of time. When it comes to the freestanding felting designs, let me take this off. They do take a little bit longer because you've got a lot of layering back and forth to keep everything together. But I have some done already that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to mention that too, Amy, good point there. So I made some little leaves with felting, and these are great also because they have some of the stitching. So when it gets to the embroidery side of it, you just take that little plate off, put a new bobbin in with thread, change out your needle, and then you go to embroidery, just like that. I have this little flower, and then my little M that I didn't get my wool roving lined up good, but I have a little M. There's letters, there's numbers, there's so many different things in the My Sewnet Studio that you can use designs to use, as well as in the software and on the machine. But what Amy reminded me of also is within the software. So with that Hello Fall design that I mentioned, that was a regular filled embroidery design. So it's going to read correctly when you look at it, Hello Fall. But when you're working with felting, you're working on the back side. So think about it. You want to make sure that your design is actually flipped. Within the software, you can flip a design so that it's reversed. And that's what you want when you're doing felting designs. Because again, you're working on the wrong side. It's going to show through on the right side. You want it to be backwards. So I hope that that clears that up and answers that. Good catch, Amy. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? I can show you all this really quick. Go in. Zoom in a little bit and you can see where it's doing the felting there. Any other comments, questions? All right, so we are getting to the end of this, and I will see if I can share a picture of this flower, this bow when it's done too. I don't know if we can share photos in the chat of this. Do y'all know? Can we share photos in the chat on lives? I don't know. When the live is ended. So when the live's ended, once this is done and I've washed all the water, so once it's done, good point too. Once it's done, you have your stabilizer still there, and I just cut closely around the edge, and then I just soaked it in water. Depending on how long you leave it in there, it can make it more stiff or more pliable. So like my M, I really did soak that, and it's not as, you see it doesn't stand up. But with my leaf, I didn't soak it as much, and some of that water sticky, so it gives it some stability and gives it like some shape so that it'll hold up. So once the live's ended and I finish this guy, I will post a picture of him as well. If there's not any other questions, I really hope that this was inspiring to you and that you want to go out and embellish all of your denim now for the fall and elevate it to the next level. But if you have done this in the past or you do it in the future, we would love to see photos of it. Please feel free to send those in a message. Or send them in this chat here. We'd love to see them, share them with us. Our next PFAFF Facebook Live is going to be Thursday, October 5th, and that is with me. We're going to be doing a fall quilted market tote. So I actually want to show it to you really quick. So I'm going to switch back over here so y'all can watch this really quick, and I'm going to go get that tote to show you. So I'm really excited about this. So we're going to do this all in one class. There won't be pre-instructions or supplies or anything like that ahead of time. But during the class, I will give all of the dimensions for it and how I did it so that you can recreate your own after the live. But here it is. It's a little handle tote. Love it. And it's lined. And the binding is we're even going to use the quilt binder and give us some clean finished edges. I love it. It's a good little fall tote. I love it. So, and you can do it for really any time of year. But this is what we're doing on our next PFAFF Facebook Live on Thursday, October 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. And then our next My Sewnet Facebook Live is going to be October 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central with Kathy Fromm. She is going to be exploring all creative things with fonts. So if you are wanting to learn more about fonts or really get to using fonts more, I know when people get into embroidery, fonts and names and monograms are a big reason why. This is a great live for you to join. So definitely join Kathy on that day. These events are already created on the Facebook pages, so you can go and you can click that you are going or interested in them, and then that will also give you a reminder of it the day of or right before as well, so you don't forget. So if there's not any other questions, again, I appreciate you joining me today. It really is a joy to get to share and hopefully inspire you to continue to keep creating. So we will see you next time. Thank you so much.